Kobayashi, an office worker, wakes up after a hangover. She receives a visit from a dragon, Toru, who insists she saved her the night before and wants to be her maid. Reluctantly, she accepts her. She takes her to work but realizes she can't do it well, so she tells her to remain at home the next day and be a live-in maid. That day, some burglars try to break into Kobayashi's house, but Toru terrifies them. Also at work, a co-worker, Takiya, asks Kobayashi to follow him for drinks. Toru sees them and gets jealous and insists on following them. She returns home with Kobayashi and washes her clothes the next day. As Kobayashi leaves for work, she realizes the cloth isn't getting dried, so she changes the weather and dried the fabric, making another small dragon notice her. She sleeps with Kobayashi that day and dreams about a war where she is stabbed. Episode 2. Kobayashi goes shopping with Toru but returns earlier than her and meets a visitor, Kana, Toru's friend. When Toru arrives, Kana begs Toru to come back as she has been exiled from their home for playing tricks, and there's no way Kana can get home without Toru. So Kobayashi asks her to stay. They go out and play in dangerous ways on the field. She teaches them how to play humanely. Then they return home. Kana asks to follow Kobayashi to work, but she refuses. Then Toru offers to take Kana on tour. They go on their tour and rest to talk at a place where Toru tells Kana she is happy in the human world, and she wants to pay her debts to Kobayashi before they both fly to check up on Kobayashi at work. Episode 3. Kobayashi notices that her house is too small to contain 2 dragons, so she rents a new apartment. She takes the dragon there and they feel at home. She gets another hangover and she attempts to sleep, but she hears loud noises. She finds out it's the neighbors making noise and asks Toru to check up on them. She finds out they're all going on with their normal days and decides that since their noises are disturbing, they should put a schedule to be silent. At work, she wishes to avoid a program and Takiya advises that she can organize a party. She tells her dragon this and they invite their friends on the party day. The first dragon that arrives is a male, Fafnir, hostile towards humans, and a well-endowed Lukoa. They all party together. Episode 4. Kobayashi notices that Kana is looking at school students, so she decides to register her at school. They make their preparations and she resumes at school. She outstands other students in mathematics and sports. This makes other student Riko want to be her friend. The first day at school goes well and she leaves for school on the second day. That day, Fafnir and Lukoa also come to check up on Toru, and Kana returns home afraid and sad with Riko. They tell their friends that they challenged some boys into a dodgeball duel and they don't have a team to tackle for the fight. Kobayashi advises that they renegotiate, but her dragon siblings say they will join them in the fight. They join the fight and they win against the boy. After the fight, Toru challenges Fafnir and Lukoa to a battle, and it gets bloody before they leave the field. Episode 5. One boring day after Kobayashi and Kana has gone to work and school, Toru decides to use her perception magic to go to Kobayashi's work without her knowledge. She finds out her chief has been mistreating her and decides to get revenge by making the man fall severely. Eventually, after work, Kobayashi notices her presence and calls her out. They also receive Fafnir's visit. He tells them he wishes to stay with humans, and if Toru can do it, then he can. She follows him for house hunting, and when they can't find any, she takes him to Takiya, who accepts that he stays with him. That day, Toru and Kana watch a video of a man using his hands to bend spoons. They try it, but they can't do it. Kobayashi does it, and they get jealous. They go through rigorous pieces of training to do it, and Kobayashi wonders why they want to be human even when they have much more ability than humans. Episode 6. Riko asks Kana to visit her home with her siblings. She goes there with Kobayashi and Toru, and they meet Riko's maid, Georgie, who talks about how she is excited to meet Toru as she has heard about her in the supermarket. Riko goes to play with Kana in the room, where Kana confides in her that she also wishes to have a close friend as Toru has in Kobayashi. Riko accepts to be her friend and she jumps on her, confusing her. After Lukoa visits Kobayashi and tells them she is now living with a boy named Shota, as she responds to his summon for a demon, and now he thinks she is a demon. She asks them to visit Shota and explain that she isn't a demon. Fafnir also has a fun time with Takiya, and they enjoy their games together. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more anime recaps. Episode 7. Kobayashi takes her friend to the beach where they all get to know each other better and have more fun. Toru asks about Kobayashi's family, and she asks about hers too. After this, Takia asks them to visit a comiket and help him sell his comic books. At the comiket, they find out Fafnir is selling a book about real curses, and Toru also realizes there are some people in her world there. She approaches them and they tell her it's because they can walk around without such an event, and advises her to change to her real form too. But when she tells them she is a dragon, they run away. She removes her tail and people get pictures of her. Episode 8. Kana tells her sister she has a school field trip and needs a lunchbox. Kobayashi and Toru compete on who can prepare the best meals, and for the first 2 dishes Toru wins. They need fruit for the last dish, and Toru brings one from her world, disqualifying her. Toru's enemy from her world, Elma, comes to take her back, but Toru defeats her. Kobayashi meets Elma at her workplace and helps Elma with work. Then she gets home. She tells Toru this, but Toru gets jealous. Elma arrives again with a gift for Kobayashi, which gets Toru jealous, and she spits fire to throw her off. She apologizes to Kobayashi for being selfish. Episode 9. Kana tells Kobayashi of their school sports events and asks her to come like her mother, but Kobayashi says she will be busy at work. Kana gets very sad and she decides to work overtime at work so she can get a day off of the event. She does so and attends the event where Rika, Kana, and Shota participate in the competitions. For the last relay race, which should determine the winner, Rika falls and passes the baton to Kana late, but Kana still wins. She goes to Rika and appreciates her for not giving up. She says if Rika had given up, they wouldn't have won. On their way home, Kana appreciates Kobayashi for coming. Episode 10. It's the Christmas period and Kobayashi is responsible for organizing a Christmas show for the elderly. She's busy at work, so her friends call themselves together to organize one. Riko suggests a play about a little girl who keeps lighting a match to see her grandmother. She does this until she sees her and they ascend to heaven together. They decide to act the play with Kana as the main character, and they add some dragon scenes that make it more interesting. After the show, Toru rides Kobayashi to the sky, where she gives her a gift, which is a herb for backache, and Kobayashi also gives her a gift and they are so excited. Episode 11. It's almost the next year and Kobayashi walks around the end of the year sales with her girls. They see a lottery and fortunately Toru has a ticket, so they play the lottery. They win a kotatsu relaxing time on their 3rd trial. They enjoy their New Year preparations and get gifts from friends, also enjoying their time at the kotatsu. On New Year's Eve, they go to the shrine to count down for the new year and return to Kobayashi's home to watch the first sunrise. As they play, Kobayashi receives a call from her parents and they wish her. Episode 12. As the episode begins, Toru tries to prepare omurice for her team. Meanwhile, on Kobayashi's way home from home, she remembers how she met and injured Toru with a sword on her back on a stressful night after she drank. She helps Toru remove the sword on her back and they drink together before she asks Toru to come home and be her maid. After their dinner, Toru says she decides to be a maid because she once met a bandit in the forest, and the girl says she wishes to be a maid because she can choose by herself. Despite that, it means enslaving herself. Episode 13. One day, Toru's father, the Emperor of Demise, comes to force her home. Kana informs Kobayashi about this, and she gets frustrated and tries to adapt to being with Toru until one day when Toru returns home. Just as she arrives, her father comes to take her back. They argue for a while, then Kobayashi jumps into the discussion. This gives Toru the strength to fight her father. She tells him she loves him, but she wants to stay. They go to an open space to fight, but Kobayashi jumps in. She gets her father to respect his father's wishes, and he returns and leaves Toru. At the end of the movie, Kobayashi asks Toru and Kana to visit her parents with her. Thank you for watching our video. Make sure to subscribe because we post weekly.